Om Shanti, everyone. Welcome. Welcome everyone. As always, every Monday we come with a very special guest. Today we have with us Sister Teena. So, one of the important things that you or that one of the things that we practice in Brahma Kumaris is having all relationships with God. And one of the strangest things is God, who is incorporeal, and the one who does not have a gender, and the one who does not have a body in this physical realm of his own, wherein he plays different roles as a mother, as a father, and we are trying to create relationship with that one, and that you of all kinds of relationship with him. This is one of the interesting thought which always um, kept me churning more deeper into this aspect of what actually is happening behind the scene when we are churning this knowledge, or especially when we are building a relationship with God. So, one of the things that always comes to my mind is when we recognize that I, the incorporeal soul, and my true nature is love, and I, over a period of time, get into this physical realm, into these roles, and then start experiencing this very nature of love in the form of a relationship. And when I get stuck in this only version of love, then only way to get over emotional dependency with all the human relationship that we have built is to build relationship with someone who is always beyond, who always exudes love as its original form. And especially when I become soul conscious and in my own limited way of connecting to God with a relationship of a mother or a father, he does respond and fulfill that flavor of love. And today we are going to explore much more deeper into this very nature of a relationship with a very personal and close encounter with God with Sister Teena. Sister Teena has been with Baba for over quarter of century, 25 years. It's a long period of time. And especially when we relate to the experiences of other Brahmins, something deep within us starts resonating. And especially this is the spiritual aspect. And Brahmins who have been on this journey for a long period of time may not resonate with other souls who are dwelling in this realm for a short period of time. So this is another great opportunity why we always want to listen to other Brahmins' experiences, because they have gone through the same journey, a deep flavor of love or deep flavor of opposite of that pain we have experienced, or you may call it as trauma, and we figured it out how to get over all of those things. And today we have with us Sister Teena. She not only has a lot of love for Baba, and she has a very unique relationship with Baba as a friend, and very unique combination of having faith and also having friendship with God, right? And she has very well educated, and she has PhDs in her realm, in her colorful cap that she wears, and she wears multiple caps in uh, Harmony Hall, right? Harmony House in back in New York in Great Neck. She lives with Sister Mohini Didi, and she is helping with the national coordination team, and she's helping the yagya at the core right now. So without any further ado, I invite Sister Teena to take us through this journey and this unique walk with God, and with the experiences of faith and friendship. Welcome, Sister Teena.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Harsha Bhai. Om Shanti and good evening, everyone. Very happy to be here. Um, it's very interesting the way you described that we all have relationships in our lives, and all relationships actually are, in a way, they are meant to be source of happiness. But we know in today's time, relationships can also be source of sorrow. However, the relationship with the one who is permanent can only give us permanent happiness, especially knowing that he is the source of happiness. And so when we were exploring what to talk about, and how am I going to describe my friendship with Baba, because sometimes you don't have a physical kind of an experience. It's very subtle and you can't put it into words. But then I said, let's see, I think I should start from the start. That way it will give you, a better picture of how the relationship built. Walking with God, if you ask me how easy it is or difficult it is to maintain the same pace and same speed and same understanding, even 25 years ago, if you would have asked me, perhaps I would say yes. At that time, also, I was friend of God and God was my friend. But maybe I did not know it consciously that this is the relationship that I'm sharing with my God. In those days, we would just think that God is up above there and I am nobody, right? Especially when you're on the path of devotion, it doesn't feel like you can have a real friendship with God. But the connection, the experience was such that He was always providing me help. He was always giving me support. He was always listening to me. I could feel all of those things. And so that's why I say that there was that friendship. And more evidently, I feel so because I remember one time when I was in my ninth grade and walking back from school on my bicycle with my friend. And my friend just asked me from nowhere, "Who is your best friend?" And I waited, I kind of took a pause, but I couldn't come up with one single name. And I had so many friends. I could have taken any name. But in that moment, I just felt I cannot say, if there is one person who can I really call is my best friend. And then she said, "Why don't you make God your best friend?" And that whole idea itself seemed so vague and, not possible because, like I said, on the path of devotion, I was like a like nobody, and God was up above there. So hoping that there can be this friendship was just seemingly impossible. But I did not throw that idea or I did not buy into that idea, but it just kind of lingered around. And then I remember that when I did the course and I took the knowledge, one of the most beautiful thing about knowledge that touched my heart was that God is not omnipresent. Because I did not stumble a lot on the path of devotion, at least in this birth. I was not a wanderer. I was not a seeker also because I felt I have everything in my life. I had good family, good education. Everything was just perfect. But maybe, like I said, unconsciously, I was searching for truth because I was a devotee of one deity. And then I saw this deity is worshipping another deity. So I started worshipping the another deity. Then I saw that deity is worshipping Shiva. So I started worshipping Shiva. And then I saw that guru is very important. So I had a guru in my life. And finally, I came onto this path of knowledge. And when they said to me that God is not omnipresent, this whole idea touched my heart. It felt so right. It felt that, intellectually, this is making a lot of sense. It's logical and it's right. And I wanted to experiment with that. But the other beautiful aspect of the whole course that I felt was very, very nice, and even till date is my favorite, is that everything that is happening in my life is for benefit. And that became like my anchoring thought. That became like my foundation from the rest of my Brahmin life, if you will. In the path of devotion, I've read many, stories. And one of the beautiful relationships that I really cherish is that of Sri Krishna and Draupadi. And that relationship is a relationship of friendship. I don't know how many of you know, but in that relationship, there is equanimity, there is respect, there is sharing of the deepest hurt or deepest feelings of happiness. There is guidance, there is, love, there is understanding. There is just when you need a friend, the friend indeed becomes present. All of that is like packaged in that one relationship. And when I saw this thing coming, this knowledge coming into my life, I felt that now I can communicate with someone more easily. But this didn't happen instantly. I did not recognize this relationship from the get go. Only after being into knowledge for 6 months, I got the opportunity to go to Madhuban. And when you go to Madhuban for the first time, you're so excited. You're like you are in this different world and different people around you. But for me, it didn't make any difference. It was okay. I went to Madhuban. I was sleeping in this big hall with 50 other people. I was brushing my teeth out in the open under the sky. So it didn't feel like something very special or, different. And then when I was sitting in Baba's meeting that night, I remember even when Baba came and Baba spoke, nothing happened. I remember only one line from that Murli, and that was that Baba was engaging the souls with this ring of determination. And he was giving this gift of determination that will bring success. That's all I remember. And then at the end, when Baba was leaving, it was at that moment that something jolted inside of me. And I felt that a part of me, somebody that belongs to me, is kind of moving away from me or is going far from me. And in that moment, I feel I recognized Baba. In that moment, I said to myself that this is who I belong to. This is where I belong. And that whole feeling or sense of belonging really emerged very vividly. And of course, to be honest, I did not understand what belonging also means. It just felt that he's mine and I am his. That kind of feeling was there. I was all teary eyes. I didn't understand what's going on. And so I came back and I said, let me study more. What is this Raj Yoga? And let me understand Baba a little bit more. And I started to read a lot of books that were in the Yagya. And it was at that time that I was also now in my 12th grade. And I was having so much disinterest in studies that my whole lot of time was spent in just reading these books from, BK world and reading about the Yagya history, reading about Brahma Baba's, part one, part two, those books. And when I gave my prelims, those from India would know that we used to have preliminary exams that was just like a, test, pre-test, if you will. And then after 1 month gap, you will have your final board exams. So when I gave my prelims, for the first time in my life, I got a fail mark in my physics exam. And I used to be a topper in my class up until then. I was always number one. I was always very good at studies, very studious, very disciplined. And here I am. I'm the first one who came into knowledge. So suddenly it was like Baba just, shook me and he's like, where are you going? I felt I was going into quite a bit of extreme. And so Baba just pulled me back and taught me how to be balanced. Because in that moment, I felt if I bring dishonor to Baba's name, nobody will like this knowledge in my family. Nobody would accept that Brahma Kumaris is teaching you something good. And I have a big family. I come from a very big family, big joint family. And I'm the first one now. So I said to Baba, I'm so sorry. In that 1 month, I really focused. I paid attention. I studied and I got distinction in my board exams. So that's when I felt that just letting Baba take care and having faith in Baba, that Baba will put me in the right place at the right time, really came home. That faith in Baba just stood out in that moment. And I remember that when I started to now talk about Gyan to my family members, to my friends, and to my parents, everybody kind of started to accept and come close to it. But still, there were, like I said, I come from a huge family. There was still this big family of mine who did not really recognize Baba. And one day I was sitting in Murli class and I read this. I remembered this point when Baba said that God needs your purity of one birth. And it just struck the chord in the soul that really, that's all he needs. And I said, okay, I give it. In that moment, I remember very clearly, I wasn't sitting in the Murli class. And when this point I heard, I said, that's all God wants from me. One birth of purity. I had no second thoughts. Instantly, I decided that I dedicate this life to Baba. And so when I said this, of course, again, I did not understand what I am putting myself into, because we don't choose to become Brahmins. No, we just fall into that path. And so then, when my family, everyone was kind of on one side, right? Because now I've made this decision and I'm the elder one in the family. I have two elder sisters, but they were already married. And so it was my turn to get married. And that was the time when I felt that was the biggest test paper that I had. And all my family members were on one side, including my own mother, who was in Gyan, who understood Baba, and still she's standing on the other side because she had the societal pressure. But it was just me and my lucky father who was standing on the other side. And I remember in the Murli, Baba has said that Baba will remove you from any situation just like he removes the hair from the butter, right? So I just kept my faith. I did not have any thoughts. I just knew that Baba has to do some magic. For me, Baba is also a big magician. Very, very uh, um, situations have been such where many a times I've felt that Baba has played this role of being a magician. And so when that whole scene was playing out, all the questions that were being bombarded, my lucky father was able to handle them all. And I didn't had to say a word. I didn't had to do anything. And that situation was resolved so easily. So I really felt that whatever Baba says in the Murli is really true. And my relationship of faith, that if I have faith, if I have a pure intellect, if I take that one step of courage and say to my family what I want to say to them, then victory is mine. Because my dad was never against our happiness. My family was never against my happiness, but they just needed to get that assurance, maybe that, I am on this righteous path and I'm not there just for 2 days or 2 months or 2 years, but I know what I am doing with myself. So that was the one beautiful and powerful experience where I felt that any situation I will be, I know Baba will pull me out like hair from the butter. And so then the journey just kept continuing. And I remember after that whole episode, I went to Didi and I said, I want to dedicate my life. I was just in 12th grade at the time. I finished my 12th actually. And so then Didi said to me, a week ago, a letter has come from Madhuban, which said that Kumaris can only dedicate once they've completed their graduation. So this was the new thing in the yagya, which kind of put water on all my enthusiasm. But I said, okay, I really trusted Brahma, and I said, there is some benefit in this. And I just went back home. I did my studies, I did my master's. And after that, I was actually now teaching in the lectureship. I was doing a lecturing job at the university. And I was also staying at the center. And it was at that time that my professor, who also became my colleague, because it was during my finals of masters, when she said, would you like to come on the other side of the table? And she offered me position in the same university, same department. So now she was my colleague, but she has also seen me as professor. So she told me to do PhD because I wasn't able to get the raise in the income. And at that time, I thought, okay, I will do it in India. I'll try. And I tried 3 times and nothing happened. So I said, maybe this is not my cup of tea. But then she told me to give GRE and TOEFL and try to go outside of India. And I was embarrassed first that it's not happening in India. I'm not able to crack this exam. How am I going to do that one? So I said no. And if you look at my family, even back 7 generations, 8 generations, nobody has ever gone outside anywhere. So I just felt that this is, a very weird idea, and I don't think I want to buy into it. But I don't know why, but she kind of kept saying, and every time I said no, 2, 3 times. And then fourth time she said, just give it for my sake. And I gave and I did pass the exam. And now I'm actually in more confused state whether I should go or not. Because, when you are in the confused state, what happens is that you ask more people what to do, what is right. And more people you ask, more confused you get. Do you have that experience where more people you ask, more confusion? Because everybody has their own way of thinking and saying, even though they're Brahmins, even though they are for a long time in Gyan. So I made that mistake of asking too many people and I got too many answers, and every answer was different. And I felt I don't know where to go with it. So some said, no, don't go to America. It's a land of Maya. You will get, trapped. And some said, no, you should go. This is a wonderful opportunity. You will learn. And all different opinions in between these two, right? So it is at this point in time where I was also living at the center. It was been an year. And a brother was going to Madhuban. So I just took the opportunity and went to Madhuban. It's a long story, but just cutting it short. So when I went to Madhuban, I met one sister and I told her the story. And she said, this is your life's decision. So you better talk to Dadi. And in those days, it was not that easy for Bharatwasis to meet Dadi. So when I went to meet Dadi, it was such a beautiful and powerful experience that I cherish. Harsha Bhai asked me, is there any memorial, any memory of the your experience with dadis or with seniors, which you think you will cherish even on the path of devotion? And I think this is what it is, that when I met her for the first time in my Brahmin life, up close like this, face to face, first thing she asked me after listening to the whole thing, are your parents happy? And I said, yes, they're happy. And then she said, when are you going to go back? I said, tomorrow. And she said, don't go. Stay for a week and then do this homework. And then she gave me some questions to work. Usually it is us who ask questions to Dadi, right? And here Dadi was asking me questions. And she asked me these questions. And at the time in front of Dadi, I'm just nodding, yes, Dadi, yes, Dadi. Some of you might have that experience where you're in front of your senior. You can't say no and you can't say yes. And you're just, okay, okay. But I don't think I understood anything. I just ran to Baba's room. It was in Pandav Bhavan. I ran to Baba's room and I sat in front of Baba. It was afternoon time. Nobody was there, just me and Baba. And I said, Baba, you are my teacher. You are my friend. And I really need your guidance. I don't understand what this homework is. I don't understand these questions at all. You have to help me how to find answers to these questions. And I will share the questions with you so that you can also see, where I was going on with this. The first question she asked me was, check if there are no strings of attachment, either from your side nor from someone else's side. So in Hindi, she said, na meri kisi mein rag ho, na kisi aur ki mere mein rag ho. That means I shouldn't have strings of attachment towards somebody, nor somebody else should have it for me. And so here I am sitting in front of Baba in Baba's room. And I'm saying, I can control that I don't have strings of attachment to anyone. But how am I going to control nobody else has attachment towards me? So I'm just sitting, staring at Baba. And instantly, this line from Murli pops in front of me and it says, remembrance begets remembrance. And I said to Baba in that moment that, Baba, if I remember you, then it's clear that you will remember me. If I don't remember any bodily being, then I can assure that no bodily being will remember me. And so Baba really helped me in that moment. And I just wrote that answer that this is going to be my mantra or my practice, that I will only remember Baba. I will not remember any humanly bodily being. And so naturally, nobody will remember me. And the second question she asked was, can you say that you are not going to regret about your decision tomorrow with 100% surety? And I'm like, who has seen tomorrow? How am I going to do this, Baba? So again, I'm sitting in front of Baba and I'm asking Baba, tell me, how are we going to do this? How am I going to know that tomorrow I will not regret? And then instantly, it was like Baba showing me this whole Murli point again. The drama is beneficial. If I hold on to this, only this one point, the drama is beneficial, I will never ever regret. Any scene comes in front of me, I will always maintain this faith in drama. The drama is beneficial. Baba is beneficial. I also had a lot of faith in my own destiny. Still today, I feel I don't think I've done any such karma that I will accrue something really bad for myself. So I have a lot of faith in my own destiny, in my own self. And so I said that this is going to be the way to go about it, that just have faith in drama and there will be no regrets. And then the third question she had asked is that you have to make sure that all your karmic accounts with this land are over. And I was like, huh. For that, I couldn't get an answer immediately. So I sat for a couple of days just thinking. But I remember when I was sitting in front of Tower of Peace, and those who have been to Madhuban, you know that this place in Madhuban, which is so powerful. And I was sitting there at Amrit Vela. And then after Amrit Vela, even from 4:45 to 5 o'clock, I was just giving Sakash to the whole of the planet. And in that moment, it touched my heart. And of course, I had spoken to a couple other sisters about this, but I did not have clarity. And so when I was giving that Sakash to the world, I felt that during this time, I can ask for forgiveness and I can also forgive everyone and anyone in this, especially in this land or in this part of the world. And I can make sure that all my karmic accounts are settled. There is no unfinished business. And so I felt comfortable with that idea, with that practice, and I wrote that down. And so then I took a step of courage and I wrote my answers and I went to Dadi and I gave it to her. And you would not believe, she took her time to really read through that letter that I had written. I wrote a 1-page letter and I wrote it in English and she read so carefully. And then she said to me, Teena, no matter where you are, how you are, you will always remain Baba's. This was like a stamp that she put on me. And I feel that this is what I needed to hear. I did not need to hear, oh, you should go or you should not go, or this is going to be good for you. I just felt that that is what the power the seniors have, that they can really recognize what is in your heart and they can tell you exactly what you need to hear in that moment, and that becomes your blessing for your Brahmin life. And so, till now, I don't forget those words, that no matter where you are, you will always remain Baba's. And so, Madhuban is sending you. You should go. Kumaris like are needed. And she said, I've never seen a quality Kumari like you. And those words ring in my ears even today. Anytime if I feel down, I say, but Dadi saw something in me. Can I not see that in myself? Baba saw something in me. Can I not see that in myself? So that helps my faith. That really helped me to not give up or to not have doubts. Because, getting admission into PhD is one thing, but actually completing PhD is not like going to your auntie's home. It questioned my faith many, many, many times. And but every time I feel I did come out of it very successfully, because I feel that Baba's friendship was such that not only he puts us equal, he sees us equal to himself, but he also gives us that right guidance. He also hears to us. He also protects us like a friend would protect you. So anything that you feel in that relationship of a friendship, I felt that. And that is how I started with Baba. But when I came to US in 2009, I saw him more as a beloved, and I saw him more as a companion, and that relationship grew. Faith was always the underlying foundation in my every aspect, in my journey as I was continuing to move forward. And I remember then, I don't know, should we stop here and just ponder a little bit about um, what does friendship feel to you when you hear?
I like the questions that you are pondering on. Is there any attachment? Do I have any attachment to anyone else, or
Hmm.
is anyone else attached to me? And
Yeah,
am I attached to a land? Could be anywhere, here or there.
yeah. And I feel that those questions were so important because they prepared me. Otherwise, if I would have come here without that preparation, I would have gotten lost, because for 10 years, I was by myself. I came from this huge, big family, always surrounded by people. And here I am in US in one bedroom apartment all by myself. For next 10 years, I have to live like this. I didn't know that at the time. And how I lived, how I was able to survive is because Dadi really prepared me. I didn't have to remember anyone but Baba. I never ever regretted any of my decisions because I was very, very strong in my thought process that drama is beneficial. And I never felt that I have any bondage to that land, because if I wouldn't have cleared that karmic bondage, then that land will pull me back, right? That space will pull you back, and you will go there back to settle whatever is the remainder of your karmic accounts. Mm. So I really felt that Baba prepared me before I could go into any new test papers that were about to come. So maybe you can think, what would you do if you were to answer these questions? Maybe you could have different answers, right? Or some creative ways of dealing with this kind of questions. And what I really liked also, that Dadi asked that, are your parents happy? It kind of taught me to have more respect and love for my parents, because any task you do, anything you do, you take the blessings of your elders, and that task becomes easy, right? Because blessings really propel you in the forward direction. And so when I was able to take the blessings of my parents and my seniors, like Dadi's blessings and all the seniors' blessings, then my journey here really did become easy compared to what I have seen what my colleagues went through. Compared to that, I didn't go through anything, I feel. It was so easy if I just speak comparatively. So maybe we can pause and do a little meditation here. Yeah. Okay. So let's do this. So as I just sit in silence, just pull my attention inwards. I see myself as the direct creation of God, the ocean of love. This connection of being the direct creation of God not only allows me to have a right over Him, but also allows me to experience His qualities, the wisdom that He has, the unconditional way of understanding and looking at things. It makes this relationship very easy. There is no dryness or tastelessness, but I truly experience His company just by sitting in front of Him. And when I sit in front of Him, I sit with an open heart. I bring about complete transparency in this relationship. Just as Baba trusts me, he sees me as his helper, as his instrument, as his heir, willing to give me huge responsibilities. So can I also trust Baba? Can I have faith in his every Shriman? When Baba sees me and says that I am his worthy child, do I truly accept and experience that worthiness? Or does clouds of doubt begin to emerge? When Baba says everything is for your benefit, do I accept? Or do I have my own questions about the scenes that I see in the world? Am I able to hold on to 100% faith in myself and in Baba? Knowing that I don't know the whole story, and trusting that I perhaps don't need to know the whole story. What is more important is just to be in front of Him, to experience His company, and to walk along with Him. instilling this faith in myself and in Baba. I now return back to the present consciousness. Om Shanti. So I completed my PhD and then I did my postdoc. And then I think it was 2019, December, where it's been now 10 years I'm in US. 2009 I came. And for the first time I felt I don't need to live in US. For the first time I felt this interest for USA in 10 years. And why I say this, because I tried to, like I said, even after 12th, I wanted to dedicate my life. And this thought did not just go away because I wasn't able to, but I kept trying even after coming here. First thing I did, can I dedicate? And then after my PhD, can I? Can I? And every time I got a no answer for various reasons. So then in 2019, 1st of December, I remember calling Sister Moini and saying to her that I am going to go to India soon, because December is the time when I used to visit India as it was holidays. And so I said to her, I'm going to go and I don't know if I will come back, because I really strongly feel that I want to dedicate my life. I don't want to continue this way. And it was actually my Lokik father who asked me 2-3 years back that, Teena, how long are you going to continue like this? Staying by yourself, working in the lab, earning good income, but then what is the use? You're staying alone by yourself. And I felt that that was a very valid question, a very important question that I had never thought about. And I had to address it because I have to give answer to him. Of course, he didn't demand an answer, but I felt I needed the answer for myself also. And so when I felt that nothing is working out here, I just surrendered. I surrendered that thought of being here. And I said, it's okay for me to be in India as long as I am, completely using my time in a worthwhile way. And one of the reasons was that science did not feel exciting anymore. Of course, it's still one of my favorite things to do. If I weren't doing Raj Yoga, I would probably be doing science. I love research, but not to that extent as much as I love Baba's Seva and, just being with Baba and making more of this life. I felt that it's not fulfilling that initial desire that I had. Like, why was I there to begin with? And one of the reasons was that I wanted to help the humanity in a more sustainable way. And I felt my research wasn't doing that. It wasn't doing justice to my initial desire to help the humanity in a sustainable manner. And so I felt that I could do more with this life, with this time that I have. And that's where I decided, okay, now I have to go. And she said, no, 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 don't make such quick decisions. We will sit and talk. You come to Madhuban, I will be there. And so when I went next year, meaning I went to see her, by then COVID had hit. And so then 2 years, I couldn't do anything. Nothing happened. But then last year, it was the time when I actually talked to her again, when things started to open. And I said to her, I just need your blessings and I want to take this step forward. And she said, why don't we try again? There's a new lawyer. And then they tried and things worked out. And it was at that moment when I felt that it, you won't believe how much paperwork I have done for getting transfer from this H1, which is a worker's visa, to religious visa, because they feel, how can you think that somebody who's doing science can go into silence? And I'm like, this is my life, my choice, but you can't say this to the government, right? So, how do you show that from science you could actually get interested into silence and meditation and want to fully dedicate your life for spiritual purpose? And that transition, that had to be shown very clearly, and it took longest time than I could ever think. And 30th of June was my last day in the country, and 15th of June was when I got my acceptance letter. So you can imagine how much Baba must have worked behind the scenes. You know, sometimes they say God doesn't work on human clock, but he's constantly at work behind the scenes. And I remember telling Baba that I don't demand from you that I have to be here. Only if you think it will be useful for me to be here, I should be here. Otherwise, I'm perfectly fine wherever you send me. No, not a problem. And I think that faith again did wonders. And, you know, when you surrender, this is another lesson that I have learned, that when you surrender to Baba, then Baba just takes over everything. But you shouldn't have second thoughts. Yeah, I feel if you send reminders to Baba, you know, or if you keep on telling him again and again, it doesn't help. In my life, I've seen you just tell him once and you trust that he is working on it, you know. He has it on his to-do list and he will take care of it. But if I constantly am reminding him, telling him, and, you know, every time in my meditation I'm doing that, then that is really also lack of faith, right? And doubting is not following Srimad. Somebody told me, if you doubt, that means you're not following Srimad. So it felt so bad when you feel, when you tell yourself, you know, if you doubt, you're not following Srimad. Here we are to follow Srimad in every step of our lives. So I feel that when you surrender, things just happen very naturally. That is another lesson that I have learned. Even in friendship, you don't demand from your friends, right, that they have to be this way or they have to do this for you. You just let them be, let them do whatever they will, and you know that they have goodwill at their heart for you. So Baba is the one who's ever benevolent, always has goodwill at his heart for us. So how can we even think that he will not do his best for us? Whatever is best for you, he will do that for you, right? But I have to trust, even if it didn't work, I would tell myself that this is best. Because one thing I've learned staying with Sister Moini is that, you know, when we live when we live with seniors, we get to learn how they think, and we get to know how they, you know, go through different test papers that come. And so she's the one who taught me this lesson, that if your plan does not work, that means definitely God's plan worked, or drama plan worked. And that plan is always better than your plan. No doubt about it, right? And so that also stayed with me, that even, okay, I have planned this, I'm anticipating this, I'm hopeful about it. But if it works or if it doesn't work, I have to trust that God's plan is at work. And that faith in Baba just became stronger and stronger. And coming to the center and now living at the center, again, it's not that I won't have test papers or I won't have, everything will be a la la land. No, but I do have this faith that if there is anything, then Baba will remove me just like that hair from the butter, and he will give me everything that is needed. So those are some of my experiences being with God and experiencing his friendship. One thing that I have learned with Baba as my friend is that I can be completely open in front of him. I don't have any secrets, nothing that he doesn't know. Everything and anything and all, he's aware, I feel. So that's one of the beautiful part of this relationship, where in friendship, you don't feel the need to hide anything from Baba. every night I will definitely tell everything to Baba. Even if somebody said something or did something, or, you know, I have to let him know once I feel. So that's how I have built this relationship. And I know that whenever I need Baba, Baba becomes present. There are so many times when I have experienced that Baba listens to me. Baba loves me more than I love Baba. No doubt about this also. So you can feel that when he listens to you, when you have thought and it's fulfilled, you know that it's Baba, right? So I think those are some of my experiences on this journey where faith really has done wonders for me. Baba has been the true magician, if you will, you know, the way Baba comes and helps you. If there is any question or if anyone wants to know anything more.
Somebody.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Thank you. I've been listening, but I was the video was a mute. Thank you. The beautiful time you're sharing with us. My name is Mikhail, and I'm kind of new to spirituality, even though I grew up in a Christian family,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a major transformation was happening. It happened 6 7 years ago, and it changed a lot of things around, and a lot of blessings, a lot of also ups and downs, which is what you were saying is God's plan. Everything is God's plan for you to be awakened from your whatever dream you're dreaming. And so my question is, uh, I came from a Christian background. Of course, 20 years ago, I got introduced to Krishnamurti's teaching.
Mm-hmm.
And I picked up his book in a bookstore. I got hit right in my head. It felt like that. I'd never see something like that. It just shook me. And I was so scared of it and just put the book in the shelf. And he revisited me after 20 years and such in a profound way. And of course, one have read, Ramana Maharashi's teaching, but Papaji. Now I listen to Moji. I don't know if you're familiar with Moji.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we're sitting here also listening, your beloved, from your own heart. I'm sitting here and listening because there are certain things is bringing me, pulling me toward this. And so you have all these teachers. I was listening to you. I know all these teachers are come from one source, but they have different maybe name, body. And so how do you reconcile all this, uh, how do you reconcile all these names? You see, and now in my head, in my little mind, I know they are not individuals, as such and such as Krishnamurti, Papaji, or Moji, or Ramana Maharaj. They are the abandonment of God, the God soul. So how do you make a relationship with all these different names and forms?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's my question. Who you to pray to? Like for you, your beloved is, Papa, for you. For
So
here, here,
quickly, just want to check in, Michael. Michael, you have been to Brahma Kumaris meditation. Have you tried out meditation course that is offered by Brahma Kumaris?
no,
Oh, okay. I'm sorry about that.
no,
So
no.
please, I strongly recommend you to try out the meditation course that we offer. There is one starting tomorrow. If you are in San Francisco, you're welcome to come by here.
Yeah, I'm here in Mill Valley. Uh,
Oh,
I come through here through Sashi and Peruvian
uh-huh.
to you. And I don't know Sashi. You know Sashi, the yogi. He used the yoga teacher. He used to
Oh,
teach
yeah. Okay. Oh,
Brazilian. So we're good friends. So,
oh,
but
nice.
it is God's work bringing me here.
Definitely.
So,
Definitely, sister will address to some extent.
yeah, would you please enlighten me with this?
Definitely. Yeah, Tina. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
It's
an
a very interesting
interesting
question.
question.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting question. But definitely, I also second the recommendation by Brother Harsha that if you do the foundation course, don't even worry about the whole course, just the beginner's course, which will cover three main lessons. And in that, you will understand about who am I and who do I belong to in an eternal
Mm,
relationship, if we are speaking, because all these relationships on the physical realm, they are very limited relationships, perhaps for this one birth, right? If I leave this body, then I will have different relationships in my next birth. So these are very temporary and fleeting kind of relationships, but there is one relationship that I, the being, has with the cosmic supreme being, if you will, which is eternal, which is permanent, which never ever dies. Whether I know about it or don't know about it, whether I accept it or don't accept it, that relationship is constantly there. But if I recognize that relationship and I tap into it and I take benefit of that relationship by just tuning into this, supreme being, then that gives me a different experience of the beloved that I'm speaking about. I'm not talking about any human being per se. Like when I said daddies or seniors, all of them, they receive the teachings from the same discourse that is shared on a daily basis, and all the teachings are coming from there. What I am studying, what Harshabha is studying, what anyone other who is following the teachings of Brahma Kumaris, it's same.
mm,
All of them are studying the same thing. And but the only difference between the seniors is that they're more experienced, in giving these test papers that come in front of us or facing different situations of life because of being more number of years in knowledge. And so, from their experience, when they speak, that makes sense to me, or that makes my path a little bit easier to understand. I would still check in with my beloved and, what works for me. Like I said, when I asked 20 people for opinion, they all were following BK teachings, but I can't just go by whatever. I still have to check in myself with in my meditation what feels right to me intuitively, what seems correct, and then take that step, trusting that it is coming from him. And that really propels me forward in this direction that I want to go, which is the righteous path.
mm.
I don't know if I've answered your question, but I think we believe in one supreme being who
Yeah,
is not a bodily being,
yeah.
actually. And this supreme being, if I can connect and forge a relationship with him, any relationship doesn't matter, but whichever is your favorite relationship, you connect that and you experience the attainments of that relationship, then that gives a very different flavor.
Mm, mm,
Mhm.
A very beautiful question and beautiful answer.
Mhm.
Because this is one of the question that I always saw ponder on. Uh, so once you get to take the course, you would recognize that we are these conscious beings more than physical beings, and these
Yes.
roles that we play in this physical form. But every soul has its own connection uh, and its own memory of being with the divine. Abhinavan.
I think I want to say this. Those things have been experienced,
That's
Mhm.
right. Every
but
being has
it's a
uh,
kind of, it can be very distorted.
that's right. That is,
And
but
yeah,
one of the things with how do we really know that you're experiencing God's love?
exactly.
Right. And that is where the power of satsang comes into picture.
Mm,
Somebody who is engaging and trying to dwell and trying to make a conscious contact with that divine and having an experience. And when you try to resonate with them, something deep within you will start resonating within yourself too, right? But it does not mean that Tina Ben is God for me at this point, but she is sharing her love for God, which is the same God which I am in love with, right?
Mm,
But
mm,
I may not recognize him as he is. But from her personal experiences, I try to put myself in her shoes and then try to see like how does it feel, what she felt when she had that relationship. And as a conscious beings with our mirror neurons in our head, that helps us to put ourselves in somebody else's shoes and try to tune into what it could be, what could have it, what could she might have experienced. And when you put yourself in that shoes and then you go deeper into that. And in a way, that is what we try to do when we relate to dadis. And then when we relate to dadis and when we try to listen to their love for God, and something deep within us starts triggered within us. And it's like, yeah, I used to have this experience long, long ago. And then that comes alive. That comes alive.
mm.
Yeah. So hope you get a little glimpse of what we were trying to say, and I
I think
strongly recommend
because
you to
the
try.
grace has been doing that the
That's
last 6 years. I think you were talking about karmic situation. You talk about delusion. You talk about anger. You talk about resentment. You talk about attachment. Those things has been shared uh, and shown also, and even uh, been given assurance of from Moji. Uh, uh, you it's been given even assurance of that from a teacher and from a guru, but it's now it's just a stage where one learn really through meditation and then deepen into this work. It's not work, but it's a practice. So that's why I'm here and listening, your experience and how you come up
you.
to it.
Thank
And
you.
yeah,
Thank you for joining, and then we'll stay connected, and then we'll go forward.
yeah.
Thank you. If anyone have any other questions, feel free to unmute yourself. Ekta?
When you said surrender, can you explain a little bit more? Because I live with the family and everything. You live at the center. So when you say surrender and Baba will take care of it.
So then, actually, to me, tw- 25 years back, when I had that thought that, okay, Baba, you need one birds of purity, I give it to you, and I completely dedicate to you my life because this is what you need. And so I feel that itself was surrenderance for me. In my heart, in my intellect, I was already surrendered. But physically, I'm speaking now that physically I am now giving my 100% time, energy, thoughts, for the Yagya service, for the service of the humanity. And what it means is just that now I am more available for Baba whenever he wants to use me, wherever he wants to use me. I don't have any obligations. I don't have any other things that I have to do, but I'm fully here present. That's what I meant by, surrendering, if that makes sense. But living at home with your family, you are still surrendered in your heart. If you feel that you're trusty and God has entrusted upon you the responsibility of that family or the responsibility of that work, then you are his trustee. You are still surrendered. Right?
Thank you.
Mhm.
Anyone else have any questions, comments? Tina, when you want to continue?
Hmm?
You want to continue?
I don't know. Do you have any questions that you were thinking of asking?
Okay. So,
Otherwise, I could I could go into different directions, but I would like to stick to the topic.
hmm. Especially this, yeah, Lata Ben has a question.
Om Shanti, sister. Sister,
Oh,
thank you so much for sharing with us your life journey, your experiences in a very clear and very concise manner. Professor, it does happen that when we are new to the in the Raj Yoga course and when we are new to the Baba, then sometimes, and like if we have been in the path of devotee, like as you mentioned, from since so many years, and sometimes a little tinge of doubt comes to our mind. I should not say this because sorry Baba, I'm saying this, but like sometimes a doubt comes, like yeah, then what is the best way to make to let ourselves come out of it? What is the best way to divert our mind to the correct path?
mhm.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Very beautiful question. Because I cannot tell you that I was 100% faithful since the get go. Like I came to Baba and I had 100% faith. No, I had to work upon it. I had to build it slowly and steadily, just like any other relationship. How do you build, and friendship is one relationship where you start with communication. You talk to Baba, you experience, you see that they were there for you when you needed them, and then you kind of build that relation. There's a history behind it, when it becomes a strong friendship. So I feel today when I say I have a strong friendship with Baba, because I have a history of 25 years of him helping me in different situations at different times and different moments in my life. So you start there, you see to maybe 1 year back also, if you just see yourself something that didn't work out, but then after 10 days or 20 days, you realize that it was good that that happened. And if that didn't happen, then I wouldn't be where I am. So you try to connect the dots and see that what was beneficial in that moment at that time. Even though you couldn't see benefit when you're in the midst of the storm, you can't see the benefit. But when you come out of it after 1 month, after 2 months, you will realize that whatever happened was good. And then you draw your energy from there, you draw your experience from there, you draw your faith from there, and you build upon it. That every time I was in such situations, Baba helped me. So, okay, I cannot see what is the benefit in this moment. Everything is haywire, everything is against my plan. But I don't have to, I don't need to. I have to tell myself, I don't need to always be the one who should know everything. He knows everything. So, can I just trust? You ask yourself, you become your own counselor and you talk to yourself and you have a little heart to heart conversation with Baba, perhaps. And I feel that will help you. Even, yesterday's teachings, Sunday Baba said, what is progress? You remember? He said, even if you were 50% yesterday, and if you've grown from that 50%, even if it's 51%, it's still a progress. So if my faith yesterday, actually, there is no percentage in faith, but still for Brahmins, we go through those stages where we say, okay, I have 50% faith or I have 75% faith in this. But maybe that was yesterday, and today I have 80% faith. And then tomorrow it will become 85%, and then it will go to 90, and slowly it will become 100% faith, right? Because we've lost that purity. Like the father um, when he pushes the child up into the air. Have you seen the father
Yes.
doing that? The child is even more happy. He's so joyful. He has no fear, no doubt that the father will not catch hold of him, right? That's because of the purity and innocence. And we have lost that purity and innocence. And I feel the more and more we become pure and innocent, then we will know that Baba will take care of us. So that trust will build, that faith will build. The more I become purer and cleaner, and things will move forward. But always consider those small steps to be very, very important steps in reaching the final goal. You can't reach the final goal from point A to point B by just flying, right? You have to go slowly, slowly, slowly to that final stage.
Yes, sister. Thank you so much.
Sure.
you. That was a nice response. Does anyone have any questions? Feel free to unmute and not I will ask the question. So, is there any particular practice that you try to do that is helping you to prepare yourself for the next phase? Am I audible?
Yes, yes, you're audible.
So mainly with respect to, so there, like when I first came into Gyan, one of the question I see there is what I heard and what I saw was different, right?
Mm,
Immediately Baba said in that Sakar Murli was that some 20 years, 18 years ago, it was said that even if you are upset with the center, don't get upset with me. I said like, oh,
yeah,
okay, so there are two things that is going on here. It is not the same thing, right?
right, right.
So there is a whole different relationship that you try to build with Baba
Mm,
parallelly. And of course, everyone is making their own preparation. Everyone is on the path of journey towards their higher self, right? And
mhm,
what they do, maybe they have some role to play. Don't get distracted by all
mm,
the things that is happening in the
mm,
name of what needs to be done with me, the God Himself, right? And He always says, like, never miss the Murli. This is
mm,
something that between you and me. It's nothing to
mm,
do with the person in between who's reading or who may be giving you the Murli package to you, right? So try to genuinely build that relationship with you and God, and things will shake up. And especially when you take support of the very thing that will start shaking you up, right? Whoever you are close to, that's where you will be, test papers will be coming up. Maya will not coming from somebody in China, right? So
mm,
if you're not
mm,
connected to it, right? So
right.
like here they say like what does it matter? What is the price of rice in China? Kind of, right? So it will come from within yourself, within your family, whoever you are close to, that is where test papers will come offshore. And as we go further, the test papers will be very subtle and very deep and very much it will start shaking you up. But the one
Mm,
thing that Baba always says is like, dude, don't ever miss connection with me. Those are
right.
different things, and I am different thing. Your means of communicating with me is through Murli and the yoga that you try to do, and try to
Mm,
keep that thing going on. And other things are there as a scaffolding when you're building a building.
mhm,
Scaffolding will come down once the building is ready. So if you're just thinking scaffolding itself is the building, so then I can't help you. So your real support is not the scaffolding around it, support
mm,
system, facilities, and all other things, but your real system is Murli and your yoga with me and what I tell you in the Murli. If you act on it,
mm,
that's what brings me closer. So, so my question is around what is your personal practices that you try to do, which is building one-on-one relationship with you, and especially I do know because for 10 years you're all alone in a single room, coming from a joint family,
mm.
right?
And now back in big family.
Back in bigger family.
Yeah. So I think when I was coming from India to US, that time I remember one of the senior instruments at the center said that Sister Teena, don't think that if you go to US you won't have test papers because they think, India is more difficult and US might be easier. And I said, no, I am not going with that idea in my head because I know I want to become a hero. And a hero's journey is always the journey where they have to give a lot of test papers. So I was never afraid of test papers per se. So when I came and when I was trying to make this choice whether to live at the center or what to do, you know, I felt that I have to give test papers no matter where I am. Even if you're at home, even if you're alone, even if you're with too many people, doesn't matter where you are, you still have to give the test papers. So in my heart, I felt if I have to give, then why not give it with the people I know? Why not give it inside rather than giving it outside? And so I jumped into this um, fire, if you will. And I know there are a lot of test papers. And like you said, there are more subtle test papers that will, Brahmins are really the mirrors that will prepare you to become that real heroes. Because when you are interacting with the Brahmin family and when you're interacting with so many people, you get to know a lot about your own self. You get to know, oh, I didn't think I have this, and this is emerging in me. So if you are a good effort maker, your attention will always be on yourself. And that's what I tell to myself. One thing I have promised to Baba before entering into the center here is that no matter what, I will keep my heart space clean. I will not hold anything against anyone. And I will make sure that this space is clean so that you can stay here. And that's all I want, that in my heart, only you stay, and then rest, I will take care, I told him. But don't leave this space. Don't leave this connection of love that I experience with you. And since then, I have seen that there are so many things that I feel I have to work on myself. And I have to change in my own ways of being and speaking and, interacting. So I don't know if I'm preparing anything different, but I am paying attention to my own self. And from anywhere in any scene, if I get even little bit of hint that this is there, then I will make a note of it and I will try to claim that from myself. That's what I have been especially paying attention to, I would say. I don't know if it's a preparation per se, but it's more like being attentive. Because one thing I know is that within Brahmins also, you really cannot correct anyone or change anyone. You just have to let them enjoy their journey and you have to enjoy your journey. Even though some things shouldn't be the way they are, but you still have to let them be the way they are. That's one of my learnings after coming here. One thing I know for myself is I love to talk out loud because I am very straightforward in my own rights. But after coming to the center, I say, "Ek chup so sukh." One time I remain quiet, and thousandfold times I will experience happiness. I won't go into argument, and I won't go into debate, and I won't go into trying to prove what is right and wrong. So I am trying very hard to stay quiet and not say anything, or I don't need to say anything. That's one thing that is difficult for me, but I am practicing it more these days. Yeah.
Thank you. That's really a practical tip.
Yes.
So the question more around if you can elaborate on, definitely, of course, external test papers will come from outsider. When the test papers come from within, right? So where is your safety zone? Where is your safety net that you fall back on? Do you go back to your remembering your childhood days, or do you go back to Madhuban in your mind and then stay do things like that? Or what you
No,
do?
Murli is my go-to place. Every day Murli, even Sakar Murli, I feel there are so many jewels. I feel every day I can write so much, but that's where I feel that Baba really, one of the things they say is that to know God in the most tangible manner is through the Murli. Other ways is all very subtle, right? But in the most tangible, most palpable, most experiential ways through his Murlis, you can get to know him. And so I really feel that every day morning he sets the pendulum straight, if you will, that, okay, this is where you have to be, this is what you have to do. And if I practice that, and if I, see that that's what I have to do today, then that helps me. And if I fall, if I find my own weakness, or if I said something I shouldn't have said, then I will sit with Baba for sure. And I will sit in proper meditation and clean my heart and clean myself, because That time Murli doesn't help. That time I think it's the yoga that helps, to just sit with him. That is what helps me. But Murli is where I will learn what he's telling me, what I have to do today. Let's say it's yesterday something happened, for example, then it happened yesterday, but it can still impact me today. And so instead of letting it impact me today, I will see what the Murli is telling me to do. And then I will focus on that practice for that day. So that's how I deal with those kinds of inner test papers.
Thank you. Kalpana Ben, you had a question, comment?
No, I did not.
Okay, I saw you're unmuted. So
No, sorry if I mistakenly raised my hand. Okay.
no problem, but you can
But
still ask question.
anyways, I really like what you, Sister Tina, just said about keeping your heart space clean. Because we're so busy trying to fix everyone else, we forget to pay attention to ourselves. So if she can share some tips on how to get back to yourself from, you know, prevent which prevents you from wandering in other people's affairs. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Thank you, sister. I think one of the biggest lessons that I have learned is that was from the story that one time Mama's book, I think it was in Mama's book or in that history, where there were these two sisters. Dadi Manohar actually shared with us when we were in Gyan but she has seen this with Mama actually. So there were these two sisters who would do a majority of the work in the kitchen and everything. And then there was a time when Baba used to come. And then there was these other two set of sisters who would just come and then show as if they did a lot. And in front of Baba, they would act like they did all the seva. And, they were the ones who are there full time, working hard and all of that. So Manohar Dadi went to Mama and she said to Mama, this is what is happening. Do you think Baba should not know the reality? We should tell Baba, no, that these two sisters are pretending to be there full time, but they're not actually doing much. And so Mama said, no, there are two things. One, do you think Baba doesn't know? That's the one thing. And second thing, she said, your karmic accounts are your karmic accounts. Whether you do or not do, it doesn't matter whether somebody's seeing or not seeing, it is still recorded, right? The karmic law does not need a proof of somebody seeing it or not seeing it. What they're doing, what they're not doing, everything is recorded, right? So I don't need to interfere into somebody else's affair. And that touched my heart so much. And I still today take power from that story because I feel it doesn't matter what somebody is doing, whether they're being appreciated, not appreciated, I acknowledge not, I have to do what I have to do according to the Srimad, what is right. And so I just focus on that am I doing the right thing that I am supposed to do in this moment? And if I focus on that, then I think that you are on the right track because you can only take care of your karmic accounts. You can't really intervene into somebody else's karmic account. You can inspire them because Baba says whatever actions you will do, others will see and do the same. So you can inspire them or you can, tell the seniors if they're not doing something right. But I feel I myself should not go and say something or do something or, act otherwise. But I just do what I have to do right. Sometimes because they don't do it right, I also don't do it right. And they say two wrongs don't make it right. And that's pushing myself down, actually. I'm not elevating myself. So I always tell to myself that my accounts are my accounts. My karmic accounts are in my hands. Whether I want to create it in the elevated way or I want to put it down is in my hands. So the way you talk, the way you behave, the way you see, the way you think, everything is in your hands. So that's what I remind myself, that I am the creator of my destiny and I better pay attention to myself. And I don't feel the need to intervene. Sometimes I will still say, but it depends in which context, not as a direct accusation or allegation. If that makes sense. I don't know.
Yeah, that really helps. And I think it prevents parchintan also. You know, you're focused on yourself.
Right.
That's a hard practice. But what you just said is, unless my heart space is clean, Baba is not going to be there.
Mm.
And so that was really helpful.
And
Thank you.
Baba knows what you're doing and what you're not. If you trust that, then you're fine. Nobody else, your seniors also don't need to know. Mama said, Baba, you don't need to tell. One, because Baba knows, and second, because even if he doesn't know, the karmic law is going to act. You're sowing the seeds, so you will reap the fruits. And so that's what's important, I think, that I have to sow the right seeds.
Okay, thank you. Om Shanti.
Oh, Shanti.
It's very deep and very profound.
Huh?
It's very deep.
Yeah, this is very deep. Brother Michael wants to say something.
It's more on to follow up what you just saying. Here we are living in America, and we have relationship with our family, our son or daughter. My situation is a boy, is all right, at 12 years old. The culture is very dynamic, and the influence on them and their brain. And so, how did one build this relationship? We talked about attachment, and in order to invite God into your heart, that even that attachment of family has to go,
Right.
even your own kids, because
And you will be able to do it when you do the course.
uh, um, I have done that. I have give that to God. I have give the wife and this boy to God.
No, giving it to God does not mean that um, you give away your responsibility towards that relationship.
I
As
know.
a husband, you have a responsibility. As a father, you have a responsibility. You definitely have to fulfill those responsibilities.
I am needing those things.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is, I felt I was so attached with the wife, and
Yeah.
the was creating chaos.
Mm-hmm.
There was a recognition of, because I was so attached, I was lonely. I was attached with the boy and his mother.
Uh-huh.
When that fall apart, it was a realization. I said, God, you have given this family to me. You can't take this family. Actually, once I did that, you have spoken that earlier. The whole thing harmonized.
Mm-hmm.
It was incredible for me. It was, oh my God, the whole thing. Once I really give up, the whole thing come back and harmonize. But still, now you have a responsibility with this being a caretaker of uh, a guidance, and then sometimes you project your idea how he should be and what he should do. So create contradiction and confusion in one's mind. So I just want you to enlighten me with it.
Yeah, but there is a difference between attachment and love.
Yeah.
And when you begin to understand that attachment is the basic foundation for sorrow, it is the reason for sorrow, then you will be very happily willing to detach yourself from that attachment. But at the same time, love is such an important, aspect of human nature or human being. But what is true love? If I understand that, then I can sustain my family with love. I can nurture my children and bring them up with that pure, true love without being attached to them and yet being very loving. So we do give this example of a lotus flower in our teachings, where the lotus lives in this dirty, muddy pond water. And I don't know how much you know about it, but underneath the water, it has huge network of roots and connected with other lotuses and whatnot. But up above, the lotus flower itself stands tall, and even the water drop does not touch the flower itself. The flower remains beautiful, right? And so I have to live my life like that, even though things are happening around me and negativity is there and attachment is there, whatever is there. But I stay above, I stay detached, and yet be very loving, fulfill all the responsibilities. But what is this true love and how do you forge it? I think what Harsha Bhai said, please, um, take it maybe to your heart and see if you can find time and do the course, at least the beginners part, which is like 3-4 lessons. That would really give you some very deep insights, because I feel you're already there. You just need to know a little bit more and you will fly. Yeah, thank you.
Can take a few minutes meditation and then wrap up.
Yeah, all right. Once again, I bring my attention from all the external expansion to internal essence of being, tiny concentrated form of light. And in a very simple way, I forge a connection with the Supreme Being. Simplicity means honesty within. Seeing Him as my true friend, true guide. Friendship where there is equanimity, where there is trust and support, unconditional love. Friendship is there, and there is no reason for jealousy or competition or comparison. And in this true friendship, I'm able to experience pure divine love. Allow yourself to be filled with pure feelings, where the head is naturally becoming cool and heart is becoming calm and clean. And when the head and the heart is completely aligned, then naturally I'm able to stay stable. There is no fluctuation. There are no doubts. There are no concerns or regrets. But I remain very stable. I remain in my dignity. And I cherish this friendship, for it provides me that permanent support. I walk with Baba, I sit with Baba, and I allow him to be with me no matter where I am.
Walk in my shoes, and I'll walk in yours. Drink from my cup, and I'll share of yours. See through my eyes, and I'll look through yours. Feel with my skin, I'll let you in, and no more will war. Know through my heart, all that I am, peel back the layers of woman and man. Walk with my God, same one as yours. Feel with my skin, I'll let you in, and no more will war, no more, no more will war, no more, no more.
Om Shanti. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Tina Ben.
Thank you, Harsha Bhai, and thank you, everyone, for listening
Thank you.
so
Thank
patiently.
you. Om Shanti.
Thank you,
Doing
everyone.